Is this thing on? Welcome back to Big Mouth and fancy seeing you here in Jew. I'm very welcome, my friends, and especially my enemies. Come in, sit down, no touching. I don't do the touching. If you're feeling charitable, please smash the subscribe button and the like button. And please do follow me on Twitter at Movies TV Mad. And welcome to Thursday's edition of the DCEU Daily. It's the morning after, the night before, and my bald head is going around in circles. There's a statement from Warner Media to read. There's a whole interview from Zack Snyder already on the Hollywood Reporter. Yes, already the elite media want to welcome Zack back, and it wasn't the case before. It's just amazing how the worm has turned, how everything's turned around in its head, on its head, and a moment to think about Joss Whedon, really. And to think that he came onto this project really to swerve where the DCEU was going. All he had to do was take someone's movie, bin it, reshoot it, kind of around what he did, and then reassert the direction. And basically, if Joss Whedon's Justice League was a success, he would have had Batgirl, and it would have been all his. And in an alternate universe, that could be happening. But no, it wasn't to be for Joss Whedon because he had an impossible task. And 2.5 years later, Zack Snyder is back. We have wasted 2.5 years. There was no need for any of this to happen, but it's happened. It's amazing. It's exciting. Justice League 2021 is amazing. And let's be clear here, whatever these pundits are saying, they're all very, very bitter, and they can't wait to see Justice League 2021 and rip it to shreds. But for us, the fans, it's a very auspicious moment. It's something we've waited for such a long time. So let's see what Warner Media have to say. Since I got here 14 months ago, the chant to release the Snyder Cut has been a daily drumbeat in our offices and inboxes. What the fans have asked, and we are thrilled to finally deliver. At the end of the day, it really is all about them, and we are beyond excited to be able to release Zack's ultimate vision for this film in 2021. This could never have happened if it weren't for the hard work and combined efforts of our teams at HBO Max and Warner Brothers Pictures, said Robert Greenblatt, Chairman, Warner Media Entertainment and Direct to Consumer. When Zack Snyder and Debbie shared the extraordinary vision of where Zack wanted to take Justice League, my team and our counterparts at Warner Bros. Took it as a mission to solve the many issues that stood in the way, said Kevin Riley, TBS and True TV. Thanks to the partnership at Warner Bros. And the relentless pursuit of the entire Warner Max team, we are able to deliver this incredibly exciting moment for Zack, for fans, and HBO Max. And of course, it's massive for the streaming service. I do implore people to subscribe. People like us who are abroad, I'm very confident by the time this is streaming that HBO Max will be a global concern and everyone around the world will be able to watch it. Probably one of the reasons they're leaving it till 2021. But, of course, Zack still has some work to do with this film. That's why I was saying in yesterday's DCEU Daily, how is this going to work if it launches on launch? And obviously, this is not just about the streaming service. Otherwise, they would have rushed it out. But rushing it out would have been a repeat of the problem of the DCEU from its inception, pressuring Zack to do this, that, and the other, so they could beat Disney, basically. And there's more to life than that, entertainment. And Zack's movies have made good money. Maybe not the money they should have made, according to Warner Brothers at the time, but certainly better than Joss Whedon's Justice League. I mean, to think you had Whedon there, he done Avengers, you would have thought that film would have had repeat screenings, but it simply was a Frankenstein's monster. And you can't do that to art. You can't paint the Mona Lisa and then say, before we show it to everyone, let's just fill in a few other colours in it. And this is what they attempted to do with Justice League. Now, very, very interestingly, as soon as this news broke, not only did David Ayer congratulate Zack Snyder, he started already to promote his director's cut of Suicide Squad. Now these are scribblings from the Joker apparently. You can't really see it actually, but it's a big piece of paper and it's got loads of stuff on it. It's titled Before the Light Was the Water, and there's loads of different things. The wings, they skyface made the light ham. There's just weird, crazy, insane Joker words. So very, very interesting. He's also got a gif of the Joker on Twitter saying, "I'm different, F you," or something along those lines. So he's really pushing for this now. I definitely think that his Suicide Squad will also stream alongside Zack Snyder's Justice League. No official word on that, but very shortly, in a moment, we are going to read this interview Zack had with the Hollywood Reporter. Yes, here's the article. Very quickly, he obviously did this interview pre the stream, which is amazing. And this article really does reveal everything that's been going on. And it's great that the Hollywood Reporter have got it. I do have issues with this site, by the way. But at the end of the day, they're talking to Zack. We need to know as much as possible about this film, so let's give this a read. It will be an entirely new thing. Zack Snyder's 20 million plus Justice League cut plans revealed. Not quite the 40 million John Aaron Garza predicted, but I don't think it's not too far away from that figure. So basically, John was right. There was added money that was needed. I didn't think that at the time. Many people didn't think that at the time. So we just have to concede that John was right and move on, right? But the fandom should never have been split by this kind of situation. HBO Max will debut the project in 2021, possibly in a 4-hour director's cut or in 6 TV-style chapters, as the Helmers get the gang back together with the original post-production crew to score, cut and finish visual effects. It was very early on a Monday morning in November when director Zack Snyder and his wife and producing partner Deborah Snyder received a call from their agent. Let's be a bit more precise. It was 7 a.m., but more importantly, it was the day after the second anniversary of the release of Justice League, the DC superhero movie that Snyder was forced to exit due to a family emergency, which was then substantially reshot and retooled by replacement director Joss Whedon. In the time since its release, something unusual happened. A growing movement of fans rallied by the hashtag Release the Snyder Cut had called, agitated, petitioned, even bought a Times Square billboard and chartered a plane to fly a banner over Comic-Con for Snyder's version to be released. Doesn't that seem like a long time ago now? And on the film's second anniversary, the hashtag had its biggest day ever, with even movie stars Gal Gadot and Ben Affleck adding their voice to Twitter. So here, the morning after, was their agent saying that Toby Emmerich, chairman of Warner Brothers, which is interesting, isn't it, was acknowledging the movement and, more importantly, was willing to accede. This is real. You see, that tells a story as well, doesn't it? People out there want it. Would you guys ever consider doing something? Was what Emmerich was asking Zack. Snyder recalls the answer to Emmerich's question, whispered about a secret for months, was revealed when Zack Snyder confirmed at the end of an online screening of his 2013 movie Man of Steel that his version of Justice League was indeed real, and that it will be coming to HBO Max, the Warner Media digital streaming service, launching May 27 and is expected to debut in 2021. It is currently unclear from what Snyder's Justice League will take, whether it will be released as an almost 4-hour director's cut or split into 6 chapters, has yet to be decided, but the Snyders are now in the midst of reassembling much of their original post-production crew to score, cut and add new and finish old visual effects, and yes, maybe bring back many of the actors to record additional dialogue. Also unclear is the cost of the endeavour. One source has pegged the effort in the 20 million range, although another source says that the figure could be closer to 30 million. The parties involved have no comment. It will be an entirely new thing, and especially talking to those who have seen the release movie, a new experience apart from that movie, Zack Snyder tells the Hollywood Reporter. Nothing that to this day he has not watched. So that again, nothing that to this day he has not watched the version released in theatres. You probably saw 1/4 of what I did, the director notes, basing his judgment on what has been shared with him of Whedon's version. Before Emmerich came calling, adds Snyder, I always thought it was a thing that in 20 years maybe somebody would do a documentary and I could lend them the footage, little snippets of a cut no one has ever seen. But adds Deborah Snyder, with the new platform and streaming services, you can have something like this. You can't release something like this theatrically, but you could with a streaming service. It's an opportunity that wasn't there 2 years ago, to be honest. It is a very unlikely development and the latest twist for a movie that has, like the Man of Steel himself, seen death and rebirth. Snyder was in a unique position when he shot Justice League in 2016. Warner Brothers had entrusted its universe of DC characters to one filmmaker. Him and he had been building toward a great on-screen team-up, though not without some bumps in the road. He began with Man of Steel, which grossed $668 million worldwide, then followed up with Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice, the 2016 blockbuster that polarized fans with its dark take on the iconic titular heroes and took in $873 million globally. In January 2017, he had what he considered his optimal version of Justice League, almost 4 hours long. Although he knew it was something the studio would not release, Warner's wanted a cut in the 2 hour range, and he delivered a rough version with an approximate 2 hour 20-minute running time. That was the first cut the studio saw. Both sides agreed that there was much work still be done before the November release, but tragedy struck the Snyders when their daughter Autumn died by suicide a month and a half later. Zack officially stepped away and Whedon was brought in. Justice League opened November 17 to weak reviews and sluggish box office, eventually taking in $658 million worldwide. However, almost immediately a movement was born. Fans unhappy with the film created a now infamous hashtag. A change.org petition for Warner's to release Snyder's version had already garnered over 100,000 signatures less than 5 days after the movie's release. Forget that version that fans wanted technically didn't exist. What did exist was a semi-unfinished work with no visual effects, no post-production. One person who had seen that version described it like a car with no panels, just a drivetrain and some seats, and it sat on a hard drive in the Snyder's house. When we left the movie, I just took the drive of the cut on it, says Zack Snyder. I honestly never thought it would be anything. In the year following their daughter's death, the Snyders closed circles around their family as they tried to heal from the tragedy. The first year was about the milestones and the holidays, recalls Deborah Snyder. Now, it's not those, but other moments, like songs that trigger memories that hit me unexpectedly. It's like with me and my mum, you just see pictures and stuff, and it's really difficult. As Zack, as a family, as a couple, I think we have grown in a way that's made us stronger. We're doing our best. You really can't hope for more. Wow. Very emotional. The duo also became involved in suicide prevention charity work and plotted a return to movies with Army of the Dead. Meanwhile, Release the Snyder Cut became more organised and visible, gaining mainstream media attention. Zack Snyder fed into the movement by occasionally teasing images from his movie or storyboards on social media, and he saw some of the seeds he planted in his movies, especially in his casting of Gadot as Wonder Woman and Momoa as Aquaman, grow into gardens as the spin-offs became pop culture phenomenons and billion-dollar hits. It was on the 2-year anniversary, however, that the zenith hit and the hashtag became a top worldwide trend. Release the Snyder Cut is the most tweeted hashtag about a movie that Warner Bros. Has ever made, but it's a movie they never released, says Snyder. It's a weird stat, but it's cool. After the Saturday morning phone call, the Snyders began to move puzzle pieces into place. We had to figure out what it meant to finish it, and how do you pull it off, recalls Deborah. The Snyders put together a presentation and in early February invited a select group of executives from Warner Bros., HBO Max and DC to their house in Pasadena to screen Zack's little scene version that was shown in black and white. The number of executives in the room, there were more than a dozen in attendance, ranging from Warner's Emmerich, Caroline Blackwood, Walter Hamada to HBO Max's Kevin Riley, Sarah Albury and Sandra Dewey to DC's Jim Lee, showed the importance of the potentially extensive undertaking. Heads of physical production and business affairs were there to assess what needed to be done and how much it would cost. At this presentation, after the screening, Snyder outlined ideas for not just releasing the cut, but the concept of episodes and cliffhangers. Yeah, so if this is going to be like episodic, which I think it is the way it's going to be, I'm fine with it. It's even a bigger event. The executives left the meeting pumped. The Snyder Cut was real, except then it almost wasn't. The novel coronavirus struck, and Hollywood all but shut down in mild Mott, says Deborah. People thought it won't be possible to ramp up and that maybe this should go on the back burner. But we said no, this is the right time because our visual effects houses that rely on so much are running out of work. So now is the time to be doing this. It also helped that many of those post facilities had held on to the original assets. Snyder also spent April and May reaching out to the sizable cast, giving heads up on the new development and letting them know their services may be needed. The first person called Ray Fisher, who played Cyborg. He was like, "You're kidding me," Wright recalls Zack. There is no schedule going forward at the stage for the project, as talks are now beginning with post-production houses, which also gives HBO Max plenty of time to find the best way to present this version of Justice League. Snyder is at the same time in post on The Army of the Dead, his zombie thriller for Netflix that also will debut in 2021. For the Snyders, the chance to revisit a movie also brings a prospect of closure on a project they were forced to let go. This movie was the culmination of a hero's journey that all these characters went on, says Deborah Snyder, and the idea was always to build them up to the heroes people expected them to be. And while the cut will contain many elements Zack has teased over time, yes, expect Darkseid, the duo also relish adding a fair amount of character development. What's so lovely about this is that we get to explore these characters in ways that you're not able to in a shorter theatrical version. The Snyders know that fan power is what led to the Snyder Cut becoming a reality. Clearly this wouldn't be happening without them, says Zack. He also credits Warner's for living up to its old reputation as the filmmaker studio. Adds Zack, this return to that pedigree and to let my singular vision of my movie be realised in a format in this length is unprecedented and a brave move. Yeah, that's a brilliant article. It's amazing. It's amazing. I can't believe it. As I'm reading that, I can't freaking believe it. It's, as I say, a 4-hour cut of a movie that's going to be allowed to be released, whether it's in episodic form. And, you know, he talked there about cliffhangers and stuff like that. Look, this is the most exciting project on the books. And if you put that to one side, the potential of the haircut, and then you've got Wonder Woman 1984 later this summer as well. And next year you've got the Batman, Black Adam, the Suicide Squad from James Gunn as well. You know, a fellow, colleague of Zack Snyder's as well. So who knows what they could do together as well. It's all seeming like Snyder is getting back the keys to the kingdom, as I said in my video yesterday. A bit excitable, but I did say that. I'm just happy. There's no negatives for me. Whether it's in episodic form or as a movie, we're finally going to see this thing. And look, we know Snyder's a perfectionist. We've seen Man of Steel. We've seen Batman v Superman. We know the man's vision already. So just to see this film, to see Cyborg's arc, to see Hal Jordan as well, and it was great just to see all the people who supported this, the Deadpool creator, Jay Oliver, all these people, the guy who's directed many of the DC animated movies as well. He's a great guy. He congratulated Zack. There are a lot of lovers, but there are also a lot of haters. They're not going to go away. They're probably going to stew in their juice, quietly hoping that Zack trips up, that this cut of the film isn't very good. I don't believe that's going to happen. I think this is the opportunity of a lifetime. But what they're also doing is they're giving him a budget to go back and make this film even better than it ever was. As I say, absolutely unprecedented. That's the word, really. This has never happened in Hollywood before. I think a lot of people were talking about it being like the Donner Cut, where we'd have to wait 20 or 30 years. I always, even though I thought it'd be too good to be true to happen, I thought if it was going to happen, I thought this window of 2 or 3 years was its best opportunity. And really, I just want to thank John Stankey, because we know he's the one who's pushed this. This is an AT&T victory. Basically, they never understood Zack's removal. They believe, basically, John Stankey And there's a lot been said about this man. John Stankey believes in Zack's vision. He believes in Zack. And he believes not that Zack should just do this movie, that he should do his other Justice League sequels and continue. I mean, I think the future is that the DCEU movies, this is a great opportunity, by the way. We know that Disney Plus are doing Marvel TV shows. This is a great opportunity where you have the Snyder Cut streamed in episodes, right? Justice League 2 the same, Justice League 3 the same, and he could have his own Game of Thrones type of DC TV streaming shows. This, as I said, we always dreamed of Zack having his little portion, and this could be, Warner Max Originals, which this is going to be, by the way. This is the beginning of Zack working on his own little corner of the DCEU on streaming on HBO Max, while Walter Hamada does what he wants theatrically. Obviously, Zack's little corner is still part of the DCEU in the same world. So very, very interesting how this is going to develop and work out, what we're finally going to see. I'm still pumped. I think the whole thing is unbelievable. But again, I think AT&T being involved, they push for this. They believe in Zack. And at the end of the day, Stanky's a businessman. He understands this movement has made this into an epic event. Sometime next year, we are going to see this unravel. We're finally going to unwrap the present we've been waiting to unwrap for so many years. And for me, that's so utterly, utterly exciting. Here's a statement from Jason Kylar, who's very much involved in Warner Media and some other companies as well. This is what he's had to say about the Snyder Cut situation. I and the Warner Media team have been so impressed and moved by the passion exhibited by the Release the Snyder Cut fanbase. Stories matter. Storytellers matter. I'm thrilled for Zack Snyder and the team that will be bringing this story to all of us as fans. What a great day. Absolutely. It is a great day. It's a great day. It's a great week. It's a great forever. We're going to be talking about this for days and months to come until we see Zack's ultimate vision of this story, of this Justice League. And I think it is going to go on. I think this could be the beginning, right, for Zack Snyder. A Justice League Game of Thrones type streaming TV series, as we've already spoken about, that could go on for seasons and seasons and seasons. Wow, amazing. Bringing in new heroes, expanding it. I still don't know what this means for Superman movies in the future. Henry Cavill will obviously be Superman in Zack Snyder's Justice League. There's lots of announcements to come. I still believe J.J. Abrams will do the Superman movie unless that changes as well. J.J. Abrams has got a big say in this as well. They didn't mention his name in the executives who went to see the Snyder Cut. It's obvious they were very excited by this man's movie. This is what happens. But to think that the first person who rang him up was one of the people who was actually really against him at the time, but there's no question about it. And Sarnoff, Walter Hamada, John Stankey, right? These are intelligent people who understood there's an epic movie in a film roll, on a chip, on a disc or whatever, right? Why are we taking advantage of this? They want it. The people, they love him, you see. I'm quoting Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. And this is the thing. People loved Robin Hood because he's an ordinary person taking from the wealthy and giving to the poor. And that's who Zack Snyder is. He's the people's champion, and we backed him because he backed us. He gave us something amazing, and we wanted it done. And believe you me, you know yourselves, if you're watching this video and you're pressing like and you're subscribing, you feel the same way as me, that this has been a really long battle. And yes, we have been called toxic, but when you're fighting a war, you can't just go in with tiptoes. And when they're saying nasty and toxic things to you, you're gonna give a riposte, right? So it was a war. We were fighting, and Zack Snyder was our general, and he helped us win. I think credit to RT Snyder Cut as well. They organised us. I should have been a bit suspicious about all this happening when they said they only wanted to do a few events this year. That should have been a clue, and they obviously knew what was going on. Who knows? Is R.T. Snyder Cut actually Zack Snyder? I suppose we're never going to know that, right? But wow, just totally humbled. It's the happy ending that I didn't think we'd ever have, and I'm just going to be boring you about this for days and days and days. And one of my followers and someone I follow on Twitter goes, "I'm just glad I won't have to hear you losing your temper every day on videos once a week." Well, as I said to him, there's always something to get angry about in the entertainment industry. That's just the way it is. But for now, this very tragic story that began very tragically and saw betrayal and lies and really fraud and trying to sell people something that wasn't what they wanted, right? And now we've seen a happy ending. The villains have been slayed and the heroes have showed themselves. But there's no bigger hero than Zack Snyder and his good wife Deb. And it was great to see her today on the Man of Steel watch party as well. To all of you, this is not over. This is just the beginning. We want more. We want Zack to continue. We want great DC movies. And right now, if I was Disney Plus and Marvel Studios, I'd be very concerned. Comment down below. Like, share, and subscribe. And I'll be back tomorrow with even more DCEU Daily. See you again soon. Happy days.